afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wild Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner, and I'm with William, my cameraman there, and this is absolutely fantastic to be here again with you this afternoon on our sunset drive here on Safari Live from the beautiful Arathusa and Djuma Game Reserves here in the Sabi Sand, South Africa. Absolutely sensational to have you with us. We have the remainders of a kill up a tree just here, which I want you to have a quick look at whilst I continue talking. It is 23 degrees Celsius and about 81 Fahrenheit, so it's quite cool compared to some of the other days. And that there is where we left off this morning. We left off with our friend and our wonderful leopard Q, a male leopard, the son of Karula, who still is traversing her territory and still moving around the place, covering great distances, I might add. And, excuse me please, he was going to find a really nice place to be in the shade somewhere here today. We came here with him before. He sat down, he rested, a hyena came up, put him back up a tree, he waited for the hyena to go, and then he has laid down somewhere. Well, that somewhere is right there. He's right with us still, and that's the most fantastic thing, that he just stayed. He will be here with the remnants of the kill that he made. And just to give you a bit of the backstory, I'd just like to start with what happened last night. But before I move on, I'd just like to say we've got Will and Alex and Tara and Nikki in the control room, and I'd like to welcome them and thank them for everything. He's sitting up now to give us a beautiful look at him. So where we left off yesterday was this magnificent cat took down a kudu about 4 times his body weight. Now that's an awesome job by him. He's not fully grown yet, but he's turning into become a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure. He pulled that animal down and he gorged himself as much as he possibly could, because the animal was too big for him to drag up a tree. A, because it was the weight that it was, and B, because there wasn't a great deal of acceptable trees for that around. So it was inevitable that eventually the message would go across the bush, and in the ecosystem and the food chain, other animals would get wind of it, literally. And inevitably, hyenas became part of the story and part of this script. Now, the script unfolded last night after we left the site. We got up in the morning early, and we're all wondering what was going to happen, and came over to the hyena den first, because Pete came up here, and Q was a little bit nowhere to be seen, I suppose you could say. So Pete moved on and went over and had a look at a few other things. But we got a bit of a word from one of the other guides that Q had been found. He's not far away, but he was quite well hidden. And we went to the hyena den first, and we saw the hyenas playing around with a large chunk of carrion, or a large chunk of animal that they were feeding on. They dragged it down into their den, and then we saw some lovely behaviour with the cubs, the hyena cubs and the mothers there. So we put 2 and 2 together, and the story was pretty much guaranteed that those hyenas, just only about 500 metres, about 1,500, 1,600 feet down the hill, were the animals that came and finished off this carcass. Now, the spot where Q did make the kill, there is nothing to be seen other than a couple of fragments of fur and a little bit of skin. It was completely pulled apart in a bit of a hyena frenzy, and I'm not sure what Q would have done. Probably made himself quite scarce, gone up a tree, or just removed himself from the situation. But then, after the hyenas had their fill and sort of broke things up, he came back in. The Prince of Stealth, he came back in and secured that last remaining part of the carcass and put it up this tree here. Now, I said before, I often have a little a little laugh to myself, because sometimes I feel they do it just to show they've got attitude, and they can do it. But I know that's not the reason. I'm being anthropomorphic there. He did it because he wanted to save a little bit for later, and it was a manageable size for him to get up with no problems. It's not an incredibly big tree over to my right here, but it's high enough for no hyena to be able to jump up there. There's a bit of meat left on it. There's a bit of protein in between those ribs, and who else knows what's up there. But I think that's going to be up there for a bit of time, and he's going to be here with us for a little bit as well. He's not going anywhere. He's trying to digest this incredible amount of food that he has eaten over the last sort of 24 hours. Now, it would have been amazing to see Q in that hunting mode. It's just an incredible thing to see how these cats are the best at stealth. They are the best at this complete ambush behaviour. They can get within 5 to 20 yards of their quarry before they just have this massive acceleration. Not as fast as a cheetah, of course, but they're the prince of the ambush. I use that word prince, or a prince of stealth type of thing. I use that sort of term a lot, but it is the truth. When you see them in hunting mode, they are definitely something just to be amazed by. And he would have taken down this kudu cow that was really big. I was quite surprised when I saw the size of it, and quite extraordinary. But here we are with Q, and he is definitely not going anywhere at the moment. So, as I just said, the tree up behind me isn't that big. Q has put that remnants of that carcass up quite high. A very, very different story from what Peter had this morning with Shadow and her cub. I watched a bit of the footage. That was absolutely incredible to see that hyena jump up a couple of times and do a complete backflip and land on its back. If you watched this morning, if you didn't watch this morning, it's so great to have you with us today. And I just want to pop in a quick thing before we cross to Pete. If you've got any questions for us, you can tweet us at #Safari Live, or you can email us questions@wildearth.tv. So I'm not going to tell you any more about what happened. Pete can recap when he says hello to you. We'll be right here, and we'll come back. We're going to cross over to Pete. We'll see you just now.
Well, good afternoon, and pleasure to say hello to you and welcome you here to South Africa, to Djuma Game Reserve and Sabi Sands. It's a beautiful afternoon. It's hot but not overly hot. We've got a bit of overcast weather. You'll see as the day progresses we should have potentially very nice sunsets as well. But we're looking for a leopard. Hayden is that side. We've come over towards where we left that young leopard this morning. On the drive this morning we had a great morning. We had two different leopard sightings, HT with Q, and we were with Shadow and her cub, that young male. And we stayed with him after the end of drive. I stayed with him about another hour or so, Andrew and myself, and we followed him into this area where Shadow then left him. But this is, as you would expect, the perfect place to leave a cub because it's very, very thick. It's difficult for you to see perhaps, but behind us here, excuse me, this whole bend in the riverbed, it's like a little drainage line, but it's just thick with guarri bush and thorn bushes, buffalo thorn, your combretums. So it really is a very, very lush area, which is exactly what they want. If she wants to leave a cub somewhere so that she can move along, she wants to know the cub is 100% safe because there's places to hide and places to climb up, big trees. But the piece that's catching us at the moment, I think, is the hiding part. Also, that cub is about 7 months old, so he's not a little, like a little cub anymore. When they're really small, they get left in a termite mound or a tree, a specific place. At this age, he could be roaming anywhere in a couple hundred yards from here. So, we did enter the proverbial needle in a haystack scenario here, but so far, nothing yet. We can have a little look more around. We've spent a bit of time. We've been here about 20 minutes already. So we'll spend a few more minutes looking around. Maybe we find him if we're lucky. If we're not, we'll come back here later on and see what we can find. And then, as always, the main event of any game drive is that surprise that you can't predict until it happens. So we'll look forward to the afternoon And as always, a pleasure to have you on my vehicle as my guest. My name is Pieter Pretorius, Brian behind the camera today, and I'm sure we're going to have a great time. As always, or maybe this is your first time, this is a live drive. This is as live as it gets, and we don't know what's going to happen next. So we're going to see what it might be. If you have any questions or suggestions or thoughts or anything like that, feel free to speak up and have a chat with other people on the vehicle or directly with me. If you want to ask a question or leave a comment, you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive for Twitter, or email questions to wildearth.tv. Let's go look around and let's enjoy the afternoon. I was hoping if I talk long enough, the leopard will sort of just walk out here and come sit on that branch. Would be a nice place for the leopard to sit. As jokes aside, we had such a fantastic morning. We had Q with the remainder of his kill. We had the hyenas with the remainder of Q's kill. We had hyenas at Q's kill. Then we had Shadow and her cub. Then we had hyenas there. They stole the kill out of the tree. It really has been a very good morning. Brunch behind me, right? This is a tricky bush here. Okay, so if you have any questions to start with, we're welcome to answer one or two, but I am going to be focusing 100% on trying to spot one of Africa's best or most capable camouflages. Leopards are amazing when it comes to hiding, and that's what this little guy would be doing at the moment. Not hiding from us. In fact, he might actually pop his head up if he hears us, but the point is, if I sort of talk over myself, please excuse me. I'm trying to X-ray vision into this bush. What is that white thing there? But too white for a leopard, unless it is belly. It's too white. Sorry, I'm about to. Excuse me. I think it's a log. But let's just make. Oh, it's a log, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. Trust me, no one wants to find this leopard more than I do. Or maybe let's just say everyone wants to find the leopard as much as I do. That's maybe the more correct way of saying it. But it is just magic being able to see a young, well, any leopard. To see a young character, a new character, this guy that we will get to know well, if all goes well, over the next year and a half still that he's got left before he'll disperse. Which is also why we've opened up that, what do they call that? The Pandora's box, if you want, of saying that we're going to give him a name on Sunday, which will happen. It's part of the fireside chat for Mother's Day. We're getting lots of suggestions in, and I must actually make sure we spoke about it just now, and I'm pretty sure I remember it correctly now. I was wondering the Shangar name for serval, which is Ndloti, N-D-L-O-T-I, I think is the spelling. It's because it was quite unique. It's not something you see very often. The first sighting we had on Sunday, when we saw these guys again, they'd killed a serval, which I thought was quite interesting and quite relevant. Ndloti would be an interesting name as well, just to put that into the mix. One more look around this termite mountain. I think then we're going to call it quits for now, maybe until a little bit later in the afternoon. We're still looking for some other questions as well from you that we can use over the weekend. Regarding one of the topics would be sort of apex predators and how they interact because of maybe sort of concentration of them that we've been experiencing. So that would be referring to the big predators: leopard, lion, hyena, leopard, lion, hyena, wild dog. And maybe specifically one of the things that might be something you've wondered about, if someone wants to perhaps ask the question. I know someone mentioned it the other day briefly. Why did Karula not perhaps defend her cubs, or that cub that was killed by the hyena? Unfortunately, I wasn't here at the time. I just sort of heard about it through the grapevine. But yeah, let your mind run with a few questions. Let us know. break a little twig here. Let me just show you what I'm doing. This is well, just a little bush really, but in this case a Transvaal silver cluster leaf. I left a branch here this morning, but I'm going to leave a fresh branch that you can see it easily. I'm just going to put it on the road. Now what that does is, if I speak to the other game drivers in a bit, guys from Aretusa, which is the area we're in now, we're on the Aretusa side of our traversing. I can tell the guys, listen, on that road, in fact this road is called Parallel Road, close to Zebra Junction, and you will see a little branch in the road. I'll tell them even there's an old guarri bush from the morning and a new silver cluster leaf from the afternoon. That makes it very easy. That means if one of the other vehicles want to come search a little bit, they can drive straight here, find the mark, find my car tracks, go straight in. I can explain to them a couple of the trees that we're around, and they can have an idea of where to look, and then they can make their own effort. Also, it's a little bit easier sometimes because the game drivers, most of them work in a team of two. So you've got the ranger or the guide, and you've got a tracker whose main function, I mean he does other things as well obviously, but his main function is to track, to spot. So while you're driving, to look. A lot of times you see things just by looking, you know, you see, oh, there's a leopard, you know, a little bit of luck, out in the open and you see it. So tracker, guide or tracker ranger teams work very, very well. Okay, we just want to have a last look at this drainage line as well, this dip coming up. Good afternoon, Roy. I'm going to call you back in a minute or two. I just want to give you some info from this morning, but I'll call back shortly. Okay, that's a perfect place for leopard. Little dip, termite mound, big tree. We're just missing the leopard. That's all we need. Well, I think we're going to move along for now. I'm going to go check out Red Dam. It's not too far from here. Nice waterhole. A few other places to look at. And then we'll come back here again later in the afternoon. I just want to have a look. I drove here after we left the leopard, so if they did move... there's the track. Okay. That's the mum's track. Okay, at least we know they've moved on. Here's the track. There she walked. There she walked. And then she turned off. There she's back on the road. Sorry, these aren't very clear tracks. It's a little bit difficult for me to show them to you. The sand's a little bit hard here, and also we don't have a lot of contrasting light. We've got this sort of overcastness, so it makes for a little bit of a flat track. But definitely one. Sure. It looks like just a mum. That would give me indication that most likely that cub is still somewhere in the back there. Take one. Oh, I think I'm going to make a run back that way. I'm going to speak to Roy that I was just on the radio with. He's coming from Abruptly Lodge this way, and they can start checking the southern end of this road. Perhaps they can pick up that track again. That's the beauty of this as well, is it's not us alone. It's the other vehicles out there as well, other lodges also looking around, and they've got trackers with them. The more eyes, the better chance you have for finding things. So I'm just going to talk to Roy quickly on the radio, see if they can help us find this leopard this afternoon, perhaps. Roy again. Down forward. This morning I followed Shadow and the Mampimpan. They came down from Boya's side, and then on the northern end of Parallel Road, that first Skovanin, just before the Skovanin, the Mampimpan stayed there, and then the Mafazi from Billy. But I see now on Parallel Road further south is the track for the Mafazi heading south. Yeah, just a little bit of. I'm going to turn around for now. I've got a feeling that Mampimpan is maybe still closer to Skovani. I've looked in there, but I didn't find anything. But I can't find my Malenge Manigi. Double check something quickly. Right, I think Roy and a couple of other vehicles might also look around, so at least now we know there's a few vehicles that will be checking this area and following up those tracks as the afternoon goes on. It's just a scrub robin singing, but I just heard that high-pitched sound. That might be something else. Always good to listen for alarm calls as well. That's one of the other indicators. Birds, squirrels, antelope. That's a bat. So that would be a little bit quick maybe for you to see. But I looked and I was like, that's a bizarre looking bird, but that was a bat that's starting his night early. What HD is up to at the moment. She's also looking around like us, trying to imagine where you can find what. If any of you guys have got something special planned for the weekend, Mother's Day is a very special day. As I said, that's one thing we all have in common. Every single one of us have or had a mother. I am also celebrating my wedding anniversary tomorrow. A little bit today actually already, but the official big wedding was on the 8th of May, 5 years tomorrow. So I've got a little special side anniversary tomorrow, and then Sunday, of course, Mother's Day for all the mothers and for all the children of mothers. So pretty much a day for all of us. Oh, I think that was one of those bush animals. But it looked good enough to stop for. No, it's one of those odd shapes that I just saw. No, just a log. Sneaky log. I think because we know there could be a leopard around here somewhere. No, and this is bizarre how the psychology works. When Brian and I have been talking about this a lot in the vehicle while driving around. You know, like where we've seen a leopard. Like in November, we saw that beautiful sighting of Tingana, that big male, which by the way we might see this afternoon. He has been moving into this area again. He was up in that Marilla tree, those of you that can remember. And whenever we drove past that tree, we both, I mean, I look over at Brian and I can see he's looking like me. And we can see the tree's empty, but it's just like, we know there can be a leopard there. We've seen him before. It's a bit like that now. You know, I'm looking extra hard, even though a leopard could be anywhere. But we know that there was one around here this morning. Funny how the mind works. Better the mind works in a funny way than not at all, I guess. Well, we are heading, as I said earlier, we're just taking a different route now, but we're heading to Red Dam, which is sort of the general direction that Shadows tracks we're heading in. Let's see what might be there. And I know at the same time HT is also looking around, so it's one of the great things about what we do is that you get the opportunity to have the ability to jump from one part to another. Excuse me. Pick up. And of course Stefan and Scott are also out there taking a look around, and they're on foot as well, so they can track things down if they find a fresh track. We'll pop into them at some stage as well to see what they are following up on. Sort of at the moment just looking around. So I mean, we've got a bit of a plan. Obviously we always have a plan for the afternoon, but couldn't find that leopard cub that we left this morning. We've got the tracks from Shadow heading along towards the Red Dam area. Now there's a lot of dongos and hiding places there, but we are going to check that waterhole. That's where we're heading. Otherwise, the afternoon's just sort of building up, I think, to a big surprise. It's always like that. There's always something. I've never done a game drive in my life where nothing happens. So quite often it's the longer you don't see something, the closer you know you're getting to seeing something. So we're at that stage at the moment. Stefan and Scott are also out there, and Brent looking around, as well as HD. So you've got 3 times the chance of seeing something amazing today. And as I said, I've never done a game drive, and I'm talking about my own capacity when I was guiding as well, when I didn't have the ability to jump around, that we didn't see something. So you've got at least 3 surprises that should be planned this afternoon, if you follow my math. It's just a matter of when it is. Warthog tracks heading to Red Dam. No leopard track this side. Well, we're just coming up to a little bit higher ground at Red Dam as well, so hey! Couple of buffalo. Lazy afternoon for them as well. Two very healthy looking guys. I mean, sometimes these Duggar boys, these old bulls that sort of hang around in small bachelor groups, they can often be quite old. But sometimes there are still dominant bulls that are just taking a little break from the breeding herds. That also happens. And I must say, these 2 guys look in prime condition still. They look very calm and relaxed. Not that a leopard will upset them too much, but even a big buffalo, when there's a predator around, you'll sometimes notice a little bit of sort of more alertness, I guess, or slight agitation even. Buffalo will just chase a leopard away, but nonetheless, these guys look super relaxed. I think we're going to leave them be. I'm not going to sit here too long. I'm going to continue on, see if we can't get any more tracks or any indications of where Shadow might have gone. leave this area for the moment, unless of course we bump into something. But I'm also very curious just to get back towards Treehouse Dam, that area, so you can come and find some ellies. There's been some great elephants the last while. So we will go look around for them. And then I am planning to look for these leopard again, but I think we should wait. It's now 3:30 South African time. Maybe about 4:30 or so, an hour or so before sunset. Maybe come back into this area where we might get them moving around, and maybe Shadow comes back to go and collect a youngster. We're going to be going back into the Treehouse Dam, Twin Dams area. There's no tracks. There's a leopard track, but I think this is... No, this is the old one from last night. Sorry, it's a bad bump. Hi Sharon, and nice to hear from someone in the back a little bit for a question. Sharon, we just looked at the buffalo and just thinking I might show you what you're talking about just now, but it's a little bit far away, so I'm going to answer the question so long. You were asking if buffalo horns stop growing at some stage, and I guess we could actually draw that through to the other animals' horns as well, but buffalo horns specifically, and I quite like the question. You're asking if they don't stop, do they ever fool those circles? Now I've seen buffalo where they, and Sharon's referring to those sort of ends that curl in. I've never seen them actually making a full circle, but I have seen them go quite far around, so really turn in. But yes, it does stop growing at some stage, or at least slows down growing at some stage. And then eventually the older bullfinns, those horns don't grow anymore at all. So I don't think it happens, but I'm sure you get a few funny horn shapes. I'm thinking about, I have seen a few animals in my life that have broken their horns, and then the horn grows at a funny angle after that. But buffalo, it can go, how far is that? Probably 3/4 around almost, 200, 250, 260 degrees, something like that. Just thinking, Sharon, you're from Pittsburgh, and exactly, you guys I guess are a little bit different time. I'm just trying to think of what different times we had. So I know East Coast at the moment it is coming up to sort of 10 o'clock. West Coast I guess is coming up to 8 o'clock if I remember correctly. 2 hours, 3 hours difference. Wait. Alright, well, to be perfectly honest with you, not much has happened. We are looking around. You know, that is one of the things about game drives that I think maybe people forget about sometimes. So a lot about game drives is doing this. It's going out with friends or family, or friends and family, hopefully family that are, it's always important, but going out with people that are like-minded about something. They all like nature, they all like being out here, but there's so much more to a game drive. I think I said it a couple of days ago. There's a lot more to a game drive than leopard and lion. It's also about the sunset and the daydreams. And it's a big part of it. It's just being in such an environment that's open and free. I mean, we've seen exactly 0 cars for the last 45 minutes. So there's very few people out there. If you do see another vehicle, they're doing the same thing, they're enjoying it as well. And a large part of that experience is that it's just driving along, having a conversation with someone around you, whether it's about the curl of a buffalo horn, or maybe about what you're planning for Mother's Day to surprise your mum, or as a mother maybe to make your kids happy, all those kind of things, and just daydreaming a little bit and wondering, maybe not quite as intensely as I was, but trying to imagine where you could find a leopard this afternoon, or thinking, it'd be so nice to see Ellies again. It's been a long time since we saw a baby elephant. And in that process, you just relax. You stop worrying and thinking about all those things that you might worry and think about every day, and you just gradually allow yourself to just be immersed into the surroundings, and that really is what it's about. So if you have some questions, maybe something a little bit out of the norm, not specifically about a leopard or a lion or a buffalo or about nature, maybe just about what it's like being live in the bush, or one of the favorite ones people always come up with, and you don't have to do that for now, we can do that another time, but what's your favorite animal or favorite moment? Or maybe I should let's ask all of you. Let's get those guys in the control room flustered with emails. All of you that wouldn't mind, it's going to take you 2 seconds. Send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv, or send us a tweet, very short, just your favorite animal. Favorite African animal and or favorite animal in general. But point is, I love the conversation, I love the freedom of just driving along in the bush. And I think sometimes one forgets. You start to sort of just, leopard, lion, elephant, let's look for the big game. Trust me, I do the same, I love it. But sometimes you should just sit back and enjoy the beautiful light that's coming out now. Look at that. Yes, Heidi, what's that? That's a very good question, Heidi. And I actually spoke about it briefly on the on the drive yesterday afternoon, and I must say today as well. I mean, it was hot today in this funny sort of overcast weather, but the air innately feels wintry. It doesn't feel summer anymore, and that's changed in the last few days, in the last week or so. And Heidi is referring to the wind last night. On drive we had a bit of it, but certainly last night during the evening, and I know that you could hear it from the waterhole camera, it was very windy. And how does that affect animal behavior? It, sure, I almost had a leopard in that tree, but it's just a nice light. It makes animals, your prey species, things like impala and things, a little bit more nervous sometimes. Sorry guys, I'm about to sneeze, but it's sort of just threatening, you know, like a leopard about to pounce, but it's not jumping. Oh. Okay, I think I can talk again. ID, so what it does do is, like the impala for instance, there's that herd of impala that the last 2 days or so have been on quarantine again. They would be slightly more nervous because a lot of when there's an impala, speaking of them, we'll get close to those ones, sit with them for a bit, is they get a bit more nervous because the wind hides a lot of noise, so that benefits the predator. It makes a lot of movement as well, the grass and the twigs and the leaves, everything's moving, so you know, something that's blending into it can blend into it much easier. Guys, there's a tiny little bird here which we never see, and this is probably the toughest thing to see, but I'd love to show it to you. Not this one, that one. One of those birds you hear singing every now and again, but yeah, it's not playing along. It's a white-browed scrub robin. All these beautiful songs, but no, we're not going to see it. So yes, it affects that for the predators, for the, let's say leopard or lion. Wind is a benefit normally, because it can hide their smell if they're walking into the wind for hunting, and it can certainly also hide the noise, and even help to visually hide them, to camouflage them, because the things around them is moving all the time. So it does benefit them. So there's definitely change in behavior, but then at the same time I have also seen leopards or lions on a windy night and they just lie down, they just feel like walking around. So it influences behavior to a large degree, but also to no degree at all. It just depends on the animal on the day. I mean, whether it's always something I've said, most of my jobs and things and stuff I've done over the years have been involved with being outdoors in some way or another. And whether I've always said, you know, that's one thing you can't change, it is the way it is. Hello, impalas. I think that's that same herd that actually have been on quarantine. I would expect them to be back that way again later in the afternoon. Little whitetails swatting flies, but also showing the other impala that everything's alright. As long as those tails are flicking every now and again, no one's too worried. These guys had a lucky season this year, meaning that, what I mean with that is we had quite a dry season here. Juma and the reserves in this area were all saying that they potentially think it's going to be a very, very tough winter, maybe one of the worst in years in terms of drought. I mean, only a couple of weeks ago when we were starting to, you know, in my personal capacity, starting to plan getting down here, we were still talking about the dryness and how dry it is. And then they had some late rains. And why I'm talking about that is that has benefited these guys and many other grazers immensely. Now, impalas are mixed feeders, so you get grazers, animals that eat grass, for example zebra, wildebeest, those kind of guys. Hippos would be grazers as well. Then you get browsers, things like giraffe, kudu, that eat leaves, and impala are mixed feeders. Now I'm sure you can figure out what that refers to. They eat anything, grass or twigs or leaves or shrubs or any plant material. And this late rain has just made a new flush of grass, so they can eat grass a little bit longer. And then there'll be a little bit more leaves left by the time that the grass is running short again. So I think they'll be alright this year. That late rain has really saved them to a large degree. Very peaceful here. That young male, I was youngster from, I was looking at a different one, but same size as this one, so carbon copy, close enough. Point is, there's 3 sizes of male here. The ones we're looking at now, they were born earlier this year. Actually amazing to think that that little guy is only about 5 months old. They were born November, December, so 5-6 months old now. Now they will still be tolerated by the big males. We will show you a big male just now as well. There is one of them. And then there's 2 males here that I can still see, 2 males that are 1.5 years old, and they would very soon not be tolerated anymore by the big male. And that is because the mating season is coming up. The big male will be chasing away the younger males. Here's the big male towards the right. Let's have a look at him. He's got oxpeckers on him at the moment. Guys, thank you. A couple of people coming back with favorite animals. Elaine with giraffe. I think giraffe are the favorite of many. And then Mary and Kathy also with a few favorites. Mary, I like your answer. You're saying you like Ellie's, but Q is your favorite animal. I might have to say, Mary, maybe it's because you haven't spent enough time with Kunyuma. I think Kunyuma's prettier. And then Kathy with an interesting one, and I know you saw one the other day. I hope you were on the drive as well with Hayden, actually. And I have to mention something specific about this, but Kathy was saying her favorite animal is a shoe-billed stork. No, and I'm confusing myself here. I'm thinking of a spoon-billed stork. That's what you saw the other day. Shoe-billed stork is quite spectacular, actually. You're right. But coming back to this, to the spoonbill, which we call a lepelaar in Afrikaans. Someone did a screen grab or a screenshot of that shoebill flying. Shoebill. Spoonbill, I've got myself confused here. You know, this is a very confusing language, English. You know that English is a second language for me, so I only learned it later on and I read it and followed up on it. But it's such a funny language. I mean, how many languages do you know of where your nose can run and your feet can smell? Something to think about. So excuse me if I'm mixing up the shoe bill and the spoon bill. But that spoon bill screen grab, that whoever it was that took it, Hayden showed it to me yesterday. That is an amazing shot. In fact, I think I want to grab hold of it myself one day and put it on the wall. There's something beautifully artistic about it. It's a truly amazing image that was posted. So well done for whoever did that. And for those of you that are into images and like images, I love photography, as many of you know. I hope you can see that picture. Maybe someone can post it again. Sort of a pinkish late past sunset sky, and this image of the spoonbill was just amazing. But talking about favorite animals and impala and a beautiful afternoon, I know something that you don't yet, but you will know in the next second or two. HD's got a bit of a surprise, and I guarantee you it's going to be a favorite animal for many of you. So enjoy it, and we'll see you back in a bit.
Well, folks, if it's Leopard-tastic day, it is Leopard-tastic day today. We have got another leopard, and these incredible guys that we work together in this team, Stef and Scotty and Brent, have found another leopard. I'm just trying to find them. They're up ahead somewhere here. Pretty tricky negotiating through this bush, as you can imagine. But we will find them. Everything's got thorns, as we know. So it's just a matter of getting through the... Okay. Put our aerial back up. folks. We're on the trail of a leopard, another leopard, but I'm in a bit of a spot here because I've got to find my team first, and there's loads and loads of stumps through here. I've got my my fellow buddies Scott, Brent and Stefan in sight. They're on the tail of another leopard. We've just got to get on their tail. We've come in a different way, and it's just a little bit of a tricky negotiation through here. So please excuse me not looking to camera. And I'm just going to go under this bit here. We'll put our aerial back up. Oh, just watch that, mate. So they're moving, and we've got to move with them. So at the moment, I'm not tracking a leopard, I'm tracking another vehicle, and it's our guys. Here we go. Right, got them visual at last. So we're going to move on in and say hi to Brent and Scott, and most importantly, thank them for all this hard work. This cat is on the move, so we've got to stay on the move with him. I'll reveal all when we get there. Oh, there he is. Ah, you know who? That's him-Mvula. Hello, mate. Fantastic, mate. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much, eh? Scotty and Brent and Steph. Thanks, fellas. Okay, mate. There he is through there, folks. You can see him moving. That is him-Mvula. Big male, amazing cat, absolutely amazing leopard. It's very, very thick country here. And it does sound a lot worse than it actually is, folks. I'm just going to move on a little bit for you so you can get a nice shot behind there of him. Look at that beautiful big head. Fantastic. So this is him-Mvula. My goodness, what a day today on Safari Live. We've seen 4 leopards today. Shadow and a cub, Q, and now him-Mvula. This is too incredible. But it looks like he is looking for something to eat, potentially. There's a lot of impala in this area. He's definitely on the hunt for something. So big thank you to Scotty and Brent and Steph for bringing us in here to show you this incredible cat. This is what working in a team's all about, folks. I'm just going to try and get through here. Do you want to watch you with your camera, mate? Aerial. Pretty tricky. Poor Hayden's got about 1,000,001 things to negotiate. He's got a massive aerial sticking out the vehicle. He's got to put down and put up for me. Oh, there's something going on here. Something going on here. That is absolutely ready to strike pose. Completely motionless. There's something in there. I have no idea what it is. here with him-Mvula, and him-Mvula is hunting and ready to strike. Anything could happen.
It's like nyala.
Can you see him?
Nyala at 1 o'clock.
Oh, I can see it, yeah. Okay, there's a nyala. Then he can see through there. We can get a tiny glimpse of it. It's completely unaware that he's there. I don't dare move, folks. He's just gonna lay. He's lowering himself to the ground. VM has a better perspective on it from where he's sitting than I do. I can't see the nyala, but the nyala is definitely there. This is happening live, right before your very eyes. Scotty, if you can just tell Lex, him-Mvula's just about to hunt. If that nyala comes this direction, it'll be totally unaware. Totally unaware. Lex, do you copy?
Cow.
Lex, do you copy? Lex, do you copy?
You okay?
Lex, please come up and join us. We are watching him as we speak. And you can come directly up that hill. I'll give you a rev. Now folks, what I just did then was with no distraction to him-Mvula. Him-Mvula is very, very used to the vehicles, as are the nyala, so we would never have been able to change anything there. I was just letting one of the other game drive vehicles know exactly where we are. Now the only thing that him-Mvula might have going against him here is the wind. The wind is coming across him from the east, and if that wind, if they pick up the scent of him through the wind, then it could be a bit tricky. The wind's swirling around at the moment, folks, so we'll just see what happens here. The nyala have incredible senses. He's still in position. I can just see a tail flicking down through there. It's very hard to see, folks. We're definitely not going to take the camera off Mvula, but you'll be able to see by his body language and his posture. So he's still busy watching. He's just set up. We've been sitting with Mvula now for about 5 minutes, and he just sat up high. I think they might be aware that there's something, as I said, the smell of the animal can be quite a giveaway with this swirling wind and the way that it's coming and swirling around where the nyala are, but then again, he's sitting tight for the minute. So we're still with Mvula, and he's on the hunt. So basically, he's going to sit there. If those nyala do come up this way or go down the other way, it just depends on what direction they're feeding. They're very, very conditioned to the vehicles. He looks like he's relaxed now. Opportunistic, just depends on what presents itself. He was just walking through and he caught them, but they may have smelled him as well. Okay, folks, well, look, I tell you what, let's sit here. This is definitely Leopard Thursday. It's absolutely incredible. We've seen Shadow and her cub. We've got Q over on the remnants of a kill. We've got Mvula potentially hunting. What else can happen? That was a beautiful thing to watch, though, just to see him. We just buttoned off. I guarantee you, these vehicles don't, they do not put the animals off whatsoever. If they did, they would run away. we buttoned off at the right time and we watched, and even starting the engine once does not disturb the animal. The nyala knew we were here, and it was just a matter of that wind getting a bit of swirly and potentially, and they were also feeding off down the hill there, so it all depends on many different things. But ultimately we're with Mvula. That's the most important thing. We are going to watch him. He is ready for anything that presents itself, so we're just going to sit tight here. I think it's about time we cross to Pieter Pretorius and see what he's up to. We'll see you just now.
Well guys, as I said, I've never done a game drive in my life without a surprise, and you not only get to go on a walk and 2 game drives, so you've got at least three surprises planned. And what a surprise having that big male leopard with HT. I believe it's Mvula. Very exciting to have the father of these guys around. Oh, I just gave away my surprise, I think. These guys, meaning, I don't know what I was talking about. I'm nothing here. So welcome back this side, and we have a surprise for you too. Just look at that. They call this the comfortable lounging tree fork. Doesn't that just look too comfortable to be true? And you know what? This is almost a view of a leopard that, I don't know, it's just the coat and the light catching it, because we've got beautiful light just breaking through on the western horizon here under the clouds. We were going to go around to show you the face of this cat, which we will do as well, because trust me, it will be a stunning view from the other end. But as we were going around, both Brian and myself, we looked over and we just said, that's actually a lovely sight, just to see the leopard like that. The coat, look at the ridge all the way from the tail trip, the tip of the tail, so all the way from the tail trip and taking the trip up the back of the leopard, all the way to his neck and ears. Just such a stunning animal, and those markings, the whole leopard's coat obviously is beautiful, but the ridge along the spinal cord I always think is the most stunning. Just look at the patterns there. Beautiful light. He's got a nice full belly as well, and he's got the perfect fork to rest his head in for a nap. Legs and paws just spread out to the side. He's got a little bit of food left from that kudu. Well, actually quite a lot of food. I mean, to be fair, it's probably the equivalent of a quarter impala or half impala that he's got left. Hyena's got some of it, a few vultures got some of it. But actually what we wanted to just show you is just look at that. Just look at that, what we're looking at. Just that scene is unbelievable. I've experienced it a lot this trip, the last 10 days or so that we've been here, more so than I can remember in the past, where I've just often found myself just being amazed at how lucky I am, how lucky we are to be able to do this with our time, to be able to experience the wilderness and wildlife and its beautiful creatures, and I find that especially so, you know, really sort of vivid, or very, there's a better word that I can't get my mind on now, but there's a really great word for it, that is, and I find that especially when we're seeing leopard, just this sort of great sigh almost, combined with a big smile at being so fortunate to see such an amazing animal like this, but not only see them, to see them like this, to experience them in their natural surroundings, doing what they do, and then you come across it and you've got beautiful light and the dramatic sky in the background and this beautiful young leopard, the son of Mvula, and it stays an amazing privilege. I'm going to try and get us on the other end of this view. Let's see if we can squeeze through there. Okay, let's see if we can get around. I think we should be able to. Oh, this is going to be good. Charlie asking if that's Q's landing strip, I guess. I don't know if you're referring to underneath the tree, but I actually think you're probably referring to the tree itself. Such a perfect tree for climbing this as well. We saw him a little bit in the distance as we approached when he climbed. He was very, very quick up that tree. That's a happy leopard. Good tree that, although a lion would be able to climb that tree. It's got sort of a couple of big sort of knobbly bits on it, and the first horizontal branch is not too high up, but there's no lions in the area that we know of at the moment. The important part of that sentence is that we know of. But from a hyena at least this is safe. Even lions, although if a lion's hungry it'll get itself up there. But he's happy, his food is safe. He's safe, he can have a nice nap. So this is a happy leopard up there. Hello Lisa. You are just wondering where Karula is. I'm wondering the same thing. This morning the first bit of information we got about the leopard that we went to and ended up being Shadow and the cub, which I'm very, very happy about. I'm not complaining, but the first information we had was that it's Karula mating with a big male. And I was obviously very excited because there's a lot of talk going around that Karula is pregnant, and it's very possible, but I just thought if she's mating, that's also very interesting. But then when we got there, of course, it was Shadow and the cub, so it was a surprise for me as well. I was trying to surprise you guys, and I was the one being surprised with you in the end. So your guess is as good as mine, Lisa. I don't know where Karula is at the moment. We had female tracks around here a couple of days back. Aubrey's Road, we had the female tracks, but we thought it was Karula, which wasn't. It ended up being Shadow. So your guess is as good as mine at the moment. Well, how spoiled are we this afternoon? One leopard to the other. And this one has picked his spot. Nice and happy down in...
Folks, stand by, stand by, stand by. This guy is seen these. He's seen him again. He's seen him again. He's behind this bush. He's behind this bush right here. You can just see those spots through there, folks. I'm not going to go any further forward. There is either an impala or a nyala. I'm not really sure what it is behind there. I'm just going to move. Just... absolutely motionless, poised, ready to strike. Any second. This is the stalk. I'm just trying to see what he can see. completely motionless. What he will do is when he gets the chance, he will gather ground, he will get as much ground as he possibly can. He'll wait till the animal looks away or starts to walk and graze, and he'll start quickly cover some ground. Once the animal sits down, that means that he knows that he has to actually spend a bit more time waiting. He'll now just reassess the situation. I can't actually see what he's looking at. We've got a lot of thick vegetation in front of us here, folks. Still fixated on that one position. If you can't believe that this is happening right before your very eyes, pinch yourself, because it is happening right before your very eyes. We are with Mvula, and he's hunting. Attention. Attention, he gets some ground now. Stealthily move very slowly. Incredible camouflage. Gets the opportunity, he'll gain some ground. Moving slowly forward. Slowly forward. Slowly forward. Slowly forward. Okay, the animal still doesn't know he's there. Okay, look down here. We're not going to take our eyes off the leopard, actually. Still can't make out what it is. He's walking back up to us. He might go around the other side of this termite mound. Watching exactly where he walks, not to make a sound. Carefully putting his feet down. Using the termite mound as cover. Still can't see.
There's a steenbok. It bolted.
I still don't think the steenbok is... It's a steenbok, was it, Veal?
I believe so.
Okay. I still don't believe he saw him. He's still watching behind that tree, folks. We can just see him there. Just going to sit back here, folks, because we can just see him there. And steenbok are quite flighty at the best of times. Steenbok are a small antelope, very small antelope only. A bite-sized sort of meal for him, but they're quite flighty. So I think the steenbok's taken off. Again, wind not in his favour that much, but he's definitely on the prowl. He's on the lookout. So we've been with him-Mvula, watching him for the last sort of half an hour. He saw a nyala off in the distance, but I think they sort of got wind of him, and the little steenbok was just grazing through, and then I think quite flighty little animals anyway. He hasn't had success there, but he's definitely on the hunt, folks. Definitely on the hunt. And look, here he goes again. He he's seen something else. I'm just going to move forward. You can just see him through there. I'm just going to stick with him. There's a lot of impala down here, I think. Let's just see that. You might be able to just see that from there, VM. Through. I'm not going to go much closer. There's a big grassy area just on the other side of this vegetation here that he could use this cover as a great ambush area. There's warthog here, there's impala all through here, nyala, and he's definitely watching. Got a question from Aaron in New Orleans, and Aaron wants to know if when we started the engine in the middle of that in that stalk would have affected him. Aaron, that steenbok had already noticed there was something in the air. He was looking up anyway. He didn't run when we started the engine, that's for sure, but he would have known we were here because he saw us when we saw him. It was potentially just the noticing of another sort of body in the bush as opposed to the starting of the engine. We've been with these leopards many times, Aaron, when they've hunted very successfully with the engine starting on and off, and it's not an issue. But thank you for your concern, and there's no way in the world I would ever do anything to impinge on his hunt. As I said, we've been many times with these leopard when they've been hunting just like this through this country, and we just keep our distance, and we'll do that as we're doing right now. Can you see him, VM? I can't see him. Okay, got him. So he has made some ground up down there. We're going to have to get down there as well. Get a bit caught up in this vegetation. Let these guys get their beautiful photos, and we can follow on. Looks like he's trying to pick up scent there. The wind is blowing from left to right of the screen. You can see he's picking up scent there. Sitting pretty for those people there. We might just get down a little bit closer. The reason why I'm not going out any further, folks, and you can just see him through there, is because his field of vision is right in front of me, and I don't want to block that.
Okay. Sorry, which direction is he heading? Sorry, I missed that. What was he was saying?
Texan, do you copy?
There?
Texan, just picking up this for Lex. Texan, he is on Gowrie cut line, halfway between Buffelshoek cut line and Central Road.
Lex.
Did you copy that, Tex? Texan, do you copy? Folks, I'm just getting in contact with one of the other guides to let him know, because we've got two vehicles here, and letting Texan know exactly where we are. Texan, do you copy?
Standing by?
Texan, that Ingui is on Gowrie cut line, halfway between Central Road Junction and Buffelshoek cut line. So folks, what we might do is just cross over to see what Peter's up to. We're going to stay with him-Mvula and just watch what he gets up to. But let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to. We'll see you just now.
Well, I apologize if I repeat myself, but we are so spoiled for choice this afternoon. Leopard hunting is always exciting. Anything can happen. You never know what will happen next. Will he hunt again? Will he rest for a bit? But it seems he certainly has got hunting in mind. Oh, and this guy, great. This was perfect timing. He's decided to get a little bit active again. He's seeing something in the distance. I think he's looking at vultures. There were a few of them flying around there. And I think he's also thinking of going to eat again. As I said, he's got some of that food left. He's managed to save some of it from the hyenas. So I'm sure he's going to go back to feeding again just now. Oh, that's a beautiful view. Stunning, stunning. He literally hadn't moved a muscle until he joined us again. So this was good timing. We also have a little bit of colour developing towards the west. We are still a ways off from sunset, about, well, not that long, just over half an hour, 40 minutes. Also that time of the day that it's not that impossible or that difficult to imagine a few hyenas arriving here again from the smell. They know there was a kill around here, they took a large part of it. But this is the time they get active, so we might have a hyena arriving here at some stage, who knows. Well, in case you're a bit confused, this is a different leopard from a few minutes ago. Mvula, the big male, who's the father of this leopard, has settled down a little bit, so HT is staying with him. Anything happens there, Hayden will get us back there, or we'll get back with Hayden. So we're still sitting with Q. He's up in the tree, just got a little bit active. He's been sort of sleeping most of the time, but he's now looking around, I think partly also because we are getting closer to sunset. He has definitely had quite a bit of interaction with hyenas in the last 24 hours. And I'm sure he knows that quite soon it's not impossible or even unlikely that the one or two hyenas will arrive here again. But he's up in a tree, he's safe. That tree is not in any ways reachable for hyenas. Oh, where's he going? A different spot. This is a perfect tree for a leopard. Lots of little places to not only leave the food in, but also just to go and lie down yourself. Well, let's just watch the he's getting himself a bit more comfortable there. Keep in mind he's got a belly full of meat, so he is he might move again. Lisa, you're just asking two things. One is, how far are we from Hayden at the moment? In a straight line, I don't know exactly, but I would guess at less than a kilometer, not that far. Straight line, I would say, give or take a kilometer, so that's a little bit less than a mile. So let's say sort of a 2/3 of a mile, 3/4 mile, somewhere in that range. And then the other question, and that's a question that's very pertinent, especially to leopard, it doesn't look like they ever get dirty. I mean, even if they've been eating in the mud and the blood and everything of a kill, or summertime, you know, making a kill in the mud, they always look clean. And just asking if they've got something in the fur or on the fur or a coating on the fur that helps for that. Well, not a coating as such, but the fur itself is very, very soft if you feel it, and I don't think dirt sticks to it easily. But then leopard even more so than other cats. I mean, other cats as well, but leopards, they are immaculate when it comes to grooming. They really do keep themselves groomed perfectly all the time. Sorry guys, just got a game drive calling me, standing by. Station calling Pieter, come in. Last station calling Pieter, come in. Alright, I need it. I'm looking for a different Pieter. But yeah, Lisa, to come back to your question about how far we are from each other, I mean, I think I know why you're asking it. It's not just a logistical thing, but also in terms of this male. Now, let me put this into perspective again for everyone. This is a young male leopard. He's in the region of, well, not in the region of, we know how old he is. He's about 2.5 years old. And he's a bit older than usual to still be living in sort of his mother's house, so to speak, in his mother's territory. He is independent. She doesn't feed him anymore, help him, nor does she feed his brother. But both him and his brother, Kunyuma, this guy is called Q, and his brother Kunyuma are still living in their mum's territory and effectively in Mvula's territory as well. Now, keep in mind, females have got much smaller areas than males. So Mvula, the big dominant male that you've been watching with Hayden, they can have an area of 5, 6, 7,000 hectares. That's give or take, 15, 20, 25,000 acres. So really large areas with various female areas or various female territories within that. So males have got much larger areas, which is why we don't see Mvula all that often, because we're only a small area that he traverses or covers sometime on part of his patrols of his land. And at some stage or another, he's going to give a serious amount of pressure to these guys to start leaving. But at the moment, he's still tolerating them, which obviously is a benefit for them. Gives them a bit more time in mum's home range. There's enough food that it's not really a problem for her. Although, once she gets her own cubs, which is maybe soon, she will very quickly be less tolerant of them being around. She will push them out, and also Mvula will become stricter then. These guys are getting towards the end of staying at home, if I may use the analogy. And then they'll disperse. They will move around, roam around for the next couple of years until they're big enough to potentially take over their own area. You can see he's just surveying the surrounding area, looking for potential threats, more out of a curiosity rather than fear. I mean, he's not worried. He's seen many, many leopards in his life. Many hyena, leopards as well. So I've been dragging out the conversation about it. Lisa, I'm sure we answered your question, but to keep coming back to that, every next meeting potentially between this male, Q, or his brother, Kunyuma, with their father, Mvula, any of the next meetings could potentially be the one where they really get the message they need to move on. They're now becoming potential threats to him. Previously they were just cubs, his cubs, but still cubs. But now they are actually maturing more and more to the point where he will soon have to start treating them like adult leopard. And that means, because they're males and they're in his area, he will tell them it's time to move. And he can tell them quite violently if they don't get the message the first time. So that's something that can happen any day now. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a week or two, maybe a month, but not many months. Soon. Let's see what he's doing now, because the sun is just peeking out behind the clouds. We have quite a lot of cloud here, so I can't predict the sunset, but we might, with a little bit of luck, get a lot of the sky lighting up into all kinds of pinks and purples and reds that we can't even imagine right now. Potentially with a leopard silhouetted against it. Maybe he's going to eat a bit more, or maybe he's just going to go back to his first spot. He seemed very comfortable there earlier. Ah, the life of a leopard. The difficult choices you have to make. Do I rest my head in that fork, or do I rest my legs over that one? I'm teasing a little bit. There's a lot of tough aspects to it as well, but for the moment, this young leopard is living the good life. Well, if maybe you stepped away for a few minutes and missed what happened, not too much, except some beautiful views. We really have been spoiled here with this leopard, just showing us a few different angles. And also, you know, I'm quite a keen photographer, as you could hear every now and again the shutter speed on the camera. And we had a vehicle with us earlier, Texans guest. They were very keen photographers, lots of big lenses on there, and we've been very spoiled with just beautiful views. And I do sit here every now and again thinking, as I said earlier, about how lucky we are. I do think a bit of Brian on the vehicle here, and VM with Hayden and Andrew as well. And I know that one of the most dreamt about, or most sort of amazing jobs people think about, is to be a, well, if you ask many people, what would you like to be? What's your dream job? A lot of people will say, come on, let's get that in first before I answer. Actually, let's get, and guys, I'd like to hear from as many of you as possible, whether you're 5 years, 6 years old, or whether you're 85 years old, or 100 years old, or anything in between. What is your dream job? And you can't say like being the owner of Facebook. That's not a job. You don't get to do that. You start that. But you know what I mean. And then I'll finish with what I was saying. Email it if you want questions at WildEarth, even though you're sending us an answer. But questions at wildearth.tv, or tweet it #SafariLive. What's your dream job? Good question, Debbie. You are wondering, what are the chances of this guy, Q, or his brother Kunyuma, taking over the area from their father, Mvula? Anything is possible. I mean, we know that. In an infinite universe, anything is possible an infinite number of times. But that's not a proper answer, Debbie. I think I'm going to have to actually go with zero. I hate giving definitive answers like that, because nothing is set in stone, especially not in nature. There are variables in so many ways, but the chance of them taking over his area is very, very small. Maybe not zero, but much closer to zero than to 1 out of 100. Reason being is that they are still too young, so even if something was to happen to him, he would quickly have other challenges into this area as well. Keep in mind, there's other leopard moving around that aren't dominant yet either. Young males that are also looking for new areas, but they might be 4 years or 5 years old, as well as other males in the area. Tingana is around today. He's just a little bit further west he's the dominant male in the next area. If Mvula goes, Tingana will immediately come in here because he wouldn't mind expanding his area again. So there's that pressure, but then also their mother is still here. She will put serious pressure on them because these guys will potentially be a threat to her cubs. They're not the father of the cubs she's going to have now. Most likely, I'm not sure if we actually know this for a fact. If we do know, if we did actually see her mating, I'd be great to know. I haven't been here every day like some of you. But I would presume Mvula is the father of these new cubs, perhaps Tingana, but I would safely go, I think, with Mvula being the father. So she doesn't want these guys around. They're potentially a threat to her own offspring coming in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months once that happens. So very soon they will get more and more pressure from her as well. But the next main pressure, I think, will actually come from their father because he's the dominant male and they are now effectively mature males. And he doesn't want mature males around these areas. So them taking over from him physically, one-on-one, they won't be able to take him on. He's still much bigger than them. Never mind the fact that he's fought many, many battles to have been a dominant male for long now. I mean, Mvula, keep in mind, Mvula just moved in here as a dominant male. I've still got one of my favorite pictures of a leopard, of Mvula drinking water from a puddle close to Impala Plains. And he just moved in. I'd only seen him a few times before I left, and this was in sort of the WildEarth early days, if you want. I am married for 5 years tomorrow, so we're talking about 6 years ago. So Mvula has been dominant in this area for going on 6 years. That's actually an incredible run. Actually amazing. I haven't thought about that for a while. That's a very good run for a big male. So point is, he is well experienced. He knows how to cope with all kinds of things. So he's not going to be even intimidated probably by a male this size nor age. And it really is not something that's likely.